Yeah, welcome everyone. Marijuana Times show. I am your host, Joe Klare. It is January 31st, 2018. The last show of the first month of the year. Make sure you check out marijuanatimes.org. You can find myself and many other great writers covering everything you need to know about the cannabis community and industry. You can also find these videos there as well. Share them on your social media networks. If you're looking for an audio version of the show, the podcast, if you will, check out Apple Podcasts. Search the Marijuana Times on there. Rate, comment, all that stuff. Same thing on YouTube, Facebook. Like, comment, share. Helps us spread the word about the show and spread the truth about cannabis. We appreciate all of you who do and all of you who watch the show and give us feedback and all that. All of you are awesome. Of course, today we're talking about Mexico. They're war on drugs down there. It's not going well. Some ideas about how to fix that, which include marijuana legalization. We'll talk about that. Also, a couple Toronto police officers got in trouble for allegedly sampling, if you will, some of the confiscated contraband and what that led to. Also, a new poll about marijuana users and how often they go to work high. All of that is coming up. First, of course, as you know by now, Marijuana Time Show is brought to you by Natureside Cannabis.com and their line of organic, all-natural pesticides. Don't use harmful chemicals on your grow. If you're a legal grower in a state, whether it's Colorado or Washington or Oregon or California or somewhere else, if you're a legal grower, don't use harmful chemicals on your grow. You don't want to put harmful chemicals. You want to have people ingesting harmful chemicals. Grow safe and poison free. Also, most states have pesticide regulations. Natureside Cannabis is already approved for pesticide use in Colorado, Washington, and Oregon. So if you're in one of those states and you're looking to be regulatory compliant, really if you're in any state where growing is legal and you want to pass regulations and want to use safe organic pesticides, then check out NatureSideCannabis.com, a proud sponsor of the Marijuana Times Show. This first story is from marijuanatimes.org by yours truly. That's right. I also write. I don't sit here. This is not the only thing I do, is sit here and bring you the news every single weekday. I also write over at marijuanatimes.org. Mexico's Secretary of Tourism thinks marijuana should be legalized in resort areas. In the first part of the article, I give a little recap of what's been going on down in Mexico. You may have heard about the Mexican drug war. There's a lot of cartels down there battling for dominance. Several years ago, the government decided, this is how we're going to tackle that. We're going to use the military and the police to try to outgun the cartels. Well, that has led to a lot of death and devastation. For instance, in 2017, people in Mexico were being murdered at a rate of 69 people per day. October 2017 was the bloodiest month in Mexico since 2011, with over 2,300 murder investigations being opened. That's just the murders that they knew about. In the first 10 months of 2017, almost 21,000 people were killed. Now, I know a lot of people watching this. You live in a place where murder is not that common. Most people in the United States live in a place where murder is so uncommon that when a murder does happen, it's on the local news for days and days, and it's the top story, and they go into it in depth about what happened and what's going on. So it's easy to look at these numbers and hear these numbers and think, they're just numbers. But really, as I point out in the article, they're individuals. They're people with families, kids, brothers, sisters, cousins, parents. And to be sure, some of these people who are being murdered in these gang wars, in this gang violence, in the cartel violence, they are members of the cartel. They're members of a rival cartel. They knew what they were getting into when they got into this business and the danger that's involved. But a lot of these people are innocent bystanders, just caught in the crossfire, being kidnapped, their lives being destroyed for no reason. The only thing they're guilty of is being at the wrong place at the wrong time. And we have to remember that these aren't numbers. These are people. These are people with their lives being destroyed in much the same way that we have to remember that, people who are arrested for marijuana, they're not just statistics. They're, they have criminal records. It hurts them later in life with education and other opportunities. It's the same here, obviously, with on a different level, on a more tragic level, because many of these people are losing their lives. They're not just stats; they're people, and something needs to be done. Obviously, what Mexico is doing is not working. So recently, the current Minister of Tourism, Minister Enrique de la Madrid, he said his country should follow the example of the United States and legalize in areas with popular support. He said, quote, "It's absurd that we're not taking this step as a country. Even if there's work to do on the whole of the country, I'd like to see that it might be done in Baja California and Quintana Roo," he added, naming two places hardest hit as of late with violence. Baja California includes the resort city of Los Cabos, and Quintana Roo contains the resort city of Cancun. Now, of course, cynical people may say, well, that's nice. We're going to leave the rest of the Mexican people to face this violence, but you're going to focus on the resort towns and make sure there's no violence there for the rich Americans or the rich tourists to come in, and they'll be safe, but everybody else gets screwed. And there's some truth to that. Obviously, marijuana legalization is something that needs to happen across the country of Mexico for it to have a full effect. But much like the United States, these pushes, these movements, these discussions, they have to start somewhere. And if it is just in a resort city or a couple resort cities or a couple states within Mexico or a couple of areas within Mexico, whatever, it has to start somewhere, and it has to start now. They've been talking, they've got kind of medical marijuana in Mexico now. They voted down recreational legalization in their Senate, I believe. They can't wait. 10 months, 21,000 people dead. I don't know what else you need. I don't know what else has to happen before politicians in Mexico realize that this isn't working. You're not going to outgun the cartels, and the attempt is just ramping up the violence. You have to use economic warfare when it comes to these cartels. You have to undercut their profits, and one of the ways to do that is legalizing marijuana in Mexico. And if it happens in resort towns, well, at least they'll see that, if crime drops in those places, it'll be easier to pitch the idea in the rest of Mexico, which a lot of polls I've seen about out of Mexico show that is not a popular issue. Marijuana legalization doesn't have popular support in many parts of the country, and maybe seeing other examples and what it can do within the country will show the rest of the country that it's something that needs to be done and something that needs to be looked at least, hopefully, because something needs to be done, and it needs to be done now. Hundreds of thousands of people have died over the last decade or more. That's not sustainable. At some point, everybody's going to be dead. And then what do you do? It's a rhetorical question. You do nothing. And if Mexican politicians are going to continue to do nothing, well, that's going to be a problem. This next story is from CBC.ca out of Canada. Toronto police, who allegedly ate pot edibles on duty, called for help after hallucinations. Now, in a full disclosure, I've never had hallucinations from marijuana, edibles, or anything else. So I'm not an expert on this issue. I know that there are some people that get super, way too high on edibles. It causes hallucinations. It causes them to think that they're going to die. It causes them to go to the emergency room. In some cases, it causes people to call 911, even, or whatever, the equivalent is in Canada, even if they are police officers themselves. They still don't have the wherewithal. They're so high. They still don't have the wherewithal to think, well, maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe I shouldn't call my place of employment to tell them I'm way too high on marijuana edibles. But allegedly, that's what happened. These two Toronto police officers, they allegedly ingested marijuana edibles, hallucinated, and called for help while on duty, and have been suspended. Both officers are under investigation by the force's professional standards unit following an incident that happened Sunday, according to Mark Pugash, a spokesperson for Toronto Police Service. CBC News has learned the officers who work at 13 Division were on duty not far from the station. Oh, Jesus. They're on duty. They're on duty eating marijuana edibles. Is that conducive to doing police work? I doubt it. And it turns out that it's not. So if you're a cop out there, hey, maybe you shouldn't eat marijuana edibles while you're on duty. Maybe you should pay attention to what you're doing. Maybe this type of thing you do at home when you relax, watch some Cheech and Chong movies with your loved ones or whatever. Not while you're on duty as a police officer. But, maybe these guys will learn a lesson. I don't know. Police sources tell CBC News that the officers began to complain of hallucinations, and one made a call for an officer needing assistance. Both officers were found in a police vehicle and later treated in a hospital. During the call, another officer responded to the scene. That officer slipped on ice and required medical attention after suffering a head injury. So not only are these morons eating edibles on duty, they call the police, their employers, to tell them if they're hallucinating and that officers need assistance. So an officer responds, he falls down on ice and hurts his head. Over the weekend, Toronto police carried out a raid at a community cannabis clinic and marijuana dispensary at St. Clair Avenue West near Dufferin Street. Sources tell CBC News the marijuana edibles the officers ingested are believed to have come from this dispensary. It's unclear if the officers participated in the raid over the weekend. They could not, every step of the way of this story, if it's true, because it's allegedly, if it's true, every step of the way they made the wrong decision. Wrong decision number one, don't take evidence for personal use. I'm pretty sure that's a cop rule. I'm pretty sure wherever you are, you can go down to your local police station and ask the dispatcher or whoever's there at the front desk, say, is it allowed for officers to just go into evidence and use what's in evidence for their own personal use? 100% of them must say, no, it is not allowed. They'll get in trouble for that. So that's problem number one. Problem number two, they eat the stolen from evidence edibles on duty. Problem number three, they get way too high and call the police and say officers need assistance, which gets them suspended. Problem number four, they got another officer who wasn't even involved, just came to try to help them because he thought they needed assistance. He falls and hits his head. These guys, again, if it's true, suspension is not enough. These guys can't be cops. I mean, nobody's perfect. I understand that. We would all agree that nobody's perfect. But when you're a police officer, you've got to be held to a higher standard of competence and being able to handle a situation. That is your job, to handle extreme situations. Situations that other people maybe can't handle. But these guys, well, they can't. They can't do that. They can't do their job as police officers. They have such poor judgment across the board. I would think that disqualifies you from being a police officer, but again, who am I? Just a guy, writes, does a little video thing on YouTube and Facebook, tries to spread the truth about cannabis and news about cannabis and opinions about cannabis. Whatever. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe these guys have great judgment. Just that day they were just a little off. But I don't think so. I think I'm right. This last story is from Instamotor.com. Nearly half of marijuana users have gone to work high. Marijuana users not only feel comfortable going to work high, many believe it allows them to perform their jobs better. This ties in, obviously, with the last story where the cops thought it was okay to get very, very high while at work. It turned out that they were wrong. Maybe these people were right. I don't know. With recreational marijuana now legal in 9 states and medical marijuana legal in 29 states, high is becoming a common state of mind. We already know 39% of cannabis users in these states feel comfortable while driving high, according to a previous Instamotor survey. What else are people doing under the influence of marijuana? Well, they're going to work, apparently. Instamotor surveyed 600 marijuana users in states where recreational marijuana use is legal. Nearly half, 48% of marijuana users have gone to work while high. Now, when you break those numbers down, 39% go to work high at least once a week, 17% at least once per month, 28% several times per year, and 18% haven't done it within the last year. Of those who go to work high, nearly half, or exactly half, 50%, believe they would be fired if it was discovered, despite 3 and 4, 73% saying they perform better at their jobs while high, and 74% saying they have gone to work high before recreational marijuana was legalized in their state. And of course, this article points out some of the things that can get you in trouble. Obviously, drug tests, that's a problem. Driving high to work is still illegal. wherever there's legalization, you still can't get in a car and drive high. And last thing I tell you to do is leave the pot at home. Don't take your pot to work. Maybe don't eat edibles while you're a cop in Toronto, on duty. I don't know. I mean, these seem like common sense things, but again, not everybody has common sense, apparently. Now, as far as people thinking they can do their job better while high, I'm sure there's plenty of jobs where that's true. I'm sure some of these people is just kind of wishful thinking, and maybe they're just high and they think they're doing a better job. They're really not. But there are a lot of jobs where I'm sure, reduced stress that comes from smoking marijuana will help a lot while not impairing their ability to do their job. But in any case, as this article points out, you have to, there's pitfalls. You don't want to fail drug tests. You don't want to get caught. You don't want to get caught driving high to work. You don't want to get caught with the weed on you at work. It's going to get you in trouble. And most jobs, and if your job were going to work while high will get you in trouble, I don't know what to say to that. Maybe in a case-by-case basis, I think it's wrong. Maybe if there's a certain job where it doesn't affect their job, maybe they do a better job while they're high. Maybe that's true. But that's really not their decision. That's their employer's decision. If their employer says, no, that's not true, and you're in trouble or you're suspended or you're fired for being here high, what are you going to do? That's their right. I don't think people should be drug tested for most jobs. I don't think that the content of their urine has any bearing on their job and shouldn't be a factor, but it is. In a lot of jobs, employers have they have every right to decide, for themselves what's going to happen and how that's going to happen, and if you're allowed to be high at work. So if it's going to get you in trouble, don't do it. And if you do get in trouble for doing it and you knew you would get in trouble, don't whine about it. You knew what was going on. You have to follow the rules of your employer. They're the ones that pay you. Because if you don't follow the rules, they quit paying you, and then you're no longer paid. Who's being hurt by that? Well, not the employer. They'll hire somebody else. You're being hurt by that. So be smart. Don't consume edibles while you're on duty as a police officer. It's a perfect example. That's going to do it for us today and for the month of January. Thank you again to NatureSideCannabis.com for sponsoring the show. Organic, all-natural pesticides. If you're a cultivator, check out NatureSideCannabis.com. If you like my hat, Make Cannabis Great Again, MakeCannabisGreatAgain.com. Check out the merch from the Marijuana Times. See the shirt here as well. The tote bag behind me. I don't know if you can buy the flag there. Oh, that'd be cool. Have a big Marijuana Times flag in your studio, as I do. But you at least get the hat. Make Cannabis Great Again. Thanks, everybody. Go check out the videos on YouTube and Facebook, of course, marijuanatimes.org. For all the stories we write, all the videos we do, marijuanatimes.org. Audio podcasts on Apple Podcasts. Search the Marijuana Times on there. Thanks, everybody, for listening. January 31st, 2018. I am Joe Klare. This is the Marijuana Times Show. We'll see you next time.